I'm going to Havana this afternoon, and then I love the fact that there are people out there who think I hadn't done anything worth a shit since 1990. You can't have success in anything out there if you don't have the desire to make yourself better at what you do.
Hey guys, Bryce here, Shots on the Rail, doing our first reaction video. And it's a reaction to the first interview that I got to do with Jimmy Buffett. And I haven't watched it since we edited it many moons ago for the Parrot Heads documentary. This is completely unedited and shaky cam. The sound may not be awesome because it's an old file. But man, I'm really looking forward to it. And obviously for movies, you have to edit things to do certain things. So there's some pretty great raw stuff here. So I hope you stay tuned in and enjoy.
This is fucking awesome. Rolling.
All the answers to me.
All right.
Please. Okay, to you. Yes, please.
Yeah. And then this is Jimmy Buffett, take one. All right. And I am set.
All right. Again, thank you, Jimmy, for doing this.
Sure.
So just a couple of quick questions. And I apologize if it sounds trite, but there's lots of different definitions for the term, but do you have a term for Parrot Head? What it means to you?
It's I always go back to when the phrase was coined. I'm sure somebody's talked about that when Timmy Schmidt made that comment in Cincinnati. But little did I know, I think the thing of it was that the origins of people simply wanting to have a good time. I never expected to go to the level that it's gone to. And I'm very appreciative that people care that much about this. And, I've always said, when you're doing some material, you're lucky enough to be able to do this and find your fan base. It was a struggle in the beginning to find people, a group of people, enough people that would get anybody excited about taking the first steps, which would be obviously making an album. In trying to conjure up how to do that, that's the first thing that you have to really do to have any kind of success, is find people who would actually pay money to go see you. And in that.
Not unlike doing a YouTube channel where we're not even asking for money, we just want you to just like and subscribe. Back again.
Work of doing it, it's very gratifying when you can do that and you start at that level of like an opening act on a 5-act bill or something like that, and then people start coming in and you can start creating a following. And but the way that this happened was kind of the same way, and that's what I like about it, because when I was looking at the footage, Scott just found the same kind of thing happened. But from a fan's standpoint, he found other people that liked listening to my music. And I think that that's a really unique thing, because I was doing exactly the same thing on the other side, trying to find people who liked my music, because I wanted to do this as a real job. So I always am amazed that that's how it started for both of us, for fans and for me. And then when it got to the point where we were having success, I really didn't want to do a fan club. I thought that's asking too much. It's to me, you put it out there on the table. The songs are made for the people who enjoy it. They're not made for me. Once they're out of me onto an album, they belong to people out there to have a good time. That's my philosophy on it. And I think that that's what it's for. And if you like something, then you can like it. And if you don't like it, then you don't have to listen to it. I mean, there are people that, I love the fact that there are people out there who think I hadn't done anything worth a shit since 1990. The Church of Buffett people, but you got to have them all, and I'm happy with that, and I just kept working. To me, it may sound trite to some people, but it's a job, and I'm lucky to have this thing. But you you can't have success in anything out there if you don't have the desire to make yourself better at what you do. And that's all I've done. And luckily enough, as I've gone along and done that, the seeds of the Parrot Head phenomenon grew into this on its own. And, I embrace it, but I didn't want to start something that I was going to charge people for, have a fan club, regulate, do things like that. It was just, if you like this stuff, and that's what I think I take the most satisfaction out of it, was this came from the same roots of finding people that liked similar music the way I was trying to do exactly the same thing.
Brilliant. That's great.
Bro, looking back at this and what Theo and I are doing now with the channel and starting, the seeds and trying to build a fan base, I mean, it's so prophetic. Jimmy, I love you, man. Damn.
But as PHIP has grown and become what it is, do you think maybe you could speak to what you think the legacy of PHIP is, what they've done and how they've taken the baton and just run with it?
Well, it's just, it's amazing that first of all, you get in front of that many people that really, playing last night was really, again, it worked out so incredibly coincidental, and we were lucky to be able to have it work out the way, we were doing it, because 3 weeks ago I was playing, I'd had this invitation to go do this thing in Cuba that I really wanted to do, and it conflicted with this. And I try to come down like every 2 or 3 years, but again, it's not a mandatory thing. And what I like about it is people are having a good time whether I'm here or not. And that means a lot to me, because that's...
He did a special concert the night before that we got to film, and I don't want to ruin the end of the movie for you, but it was really, really, really special. And I'll try to throw some stuff up. You're
saying their legacy unto themselves is they don't really need me there. They found friends in the music and in the community they've done. And I really, I think that's kind of something that should be admired. And then you go into the philanthropic work that they have done. And I've never asked them to do anything. They did it on their own, but they were kind of interested. My father died of Alzheimer's. I know they do a lot of work in communities. And I just think it's, I'm very honored that people don't just listen to a tune. I mean, it would be great if that was the case, if your music just did enough, but they on their own have gone beyond that to do things. And if maybe I was a model that came from my mother, I knew that if I ever was going to be successful, I wanted to give something back, and have always tried to do that, and not in an ostentatious way. I try to keep people low radar on those kinds of things, because I don't want to gain any kind of success out of it. Doing good, I think that's what you're supposed to do. You're lucky enough to.
He's talking about his fan club, Parrot Heads in Paradise, the little thing there. They've raised over $50 million over the years for charities, and that's what he's talking about there. He doesn't talk much about his dad dying of Alzheimer's, but that's where it all started with things that he used to do and save the manatees.
To do this. So, and I love the fact that the Parrot Head clubs go about it basically the same way. So it's interesting, the parallels on the way I've dealt with longevity and they've acquired longevity. It's very similar to the way we operate. It's kind of autonomous in both, and occasionally we cross and everybody has a good time. And then they go back and they have their lives, and I'm happy to be the background music to their lives.
Soundtrack to their lives. We heard
soundtrack. Okay,
we heard that from Paris, France, Costa Rica, you name it. And people didn't know each other. They all said the same thing. It was great.
That's an interesting point, that the community of people who get to meet based on their love of this music is a very satisfying thing. And when you get to see it, I mean, I saw it originally when I did book tours, when I did my books, and people would show up at bookstores. I mean, I knew the math. Come on. I looked at that. I said, when I wrote a book, the children's books did so well. Then I wanted to write a book. I said, At that time, I said, I'm selling 500,000 albums, and you only have to sell 100,000 books to be on the New York Times bestseller list. Well, I can do that once, and if the book's any good, then I might make a few more, but I can damn sure get 100,000 people to buy a book the first time. And whether they throw it in the trash and never buy another one, but so doing the math, and so we kind of attacked the book industry that way, and then the Parrot Heads show up, like 3,000 people show up at Barnes and Noble with lunch in line, but they're meeting each other. They're meeting in line to get a book signed. So, and then they acquire friendships that way, and it's come from that. And then, sure enough, we went up to New York Times bestsellers, and people liked it. And I always liked the fact that there are people that would write me that they liked my books that didn't know I played music. So that was interesting. But the even better thing was that sense of community.
So Jimmy is an author, best-selling author. Tales from Margaritaville, which is some great absurdist fantasy stuff. It's a lot of fun. High recommend. Pirate looks at 50, growing up, growing older but not up. And Swine Not, A Salty Piece of Land. Really, really great stuff if you want to escape. And he narrates the books as well. Great listen. He's an amazing narrator.
Community and coming together as complete strangers and leaving as acquaintances or friends or even better than that. And today the litmus test of that is Paris, because that just started living in St. Bart's, and for a while I had an apartment in Paris many years ago, and I'm a Francophile. I love the city, and I can get along with French. I can understand them a little better than most, because I've dealt with them a long time. And I've got French ancestry in my family, so that's what all that came from. And when I went the first time, my promoter, Joard, who's my neighbor in St. Bart's, said, "Nobody knows you in Paris." And I said, well, I don't care. I said, "Let's go." I said, and the promoters being promoters, he's looking at, he didn't want to lose money. I said, "It's a club, I'll pay for it. I just want to see who show up." And ironically, the first time we did it, we played the New Morning in Paris. I had worked a little street around where I lived before. There were some clubs I'd gone in on hootenannies, but I'd never done an organized show before we went there. And I had enough friends, enough acquaintances from living in St. Bart's enough that I knew some people would show up, and then I knew I had and then I had connections into the journalism, like American journalists in Paris. And I just want to see who would come. And so it was, again, a very interesting.
Buffett did there. He did. God, it's so wild. It's kind of how like Theo and I are doing the show. We're getting our friends at nightlife. We're calling up our friends on different social media handles. You put it, you cobble all this stuff together because you want to show people that you're doing what you love to do, man. And God, this is why he's my hero, man. Oh, I love you, man. I hope you guys are taking some really good notes from this, because this is universal for doing what you love to do and pull out all the stops, baby. All right.
Interesting collection of eccentric collection of people who met each other there, and now we're playing the highest venues you could ever play, which is scratch that off the list, to do the Olympia and La Cigale. And it's now you go and you see bistro managers and waiters who, when we first went there, just like this, and then now it's like they get it. They've gone and listened to the music, and of course it's good for business, and that's part of it. But it's also those people that own the place that's having as much fun as people that are coming, and particularly in costumes. And when it goes back to it, I come out of a French Mardi Gras culture. That's all this really is. And I loved, Mardi Gras was something that I did and truly still believe in, because you look at the history of it and you look at the mythology of it, it was meant, back in the days of kings and queens and serfs, and you had to give the poor people a day off, or else they were going to kill you. So somebody devised a religious holiday. They go, okay, you can do this. You can put on a mask and do anything you want to do for 2 days, then you got to go back to work, and it's Lent. And growing up in that culture, I loved it because of
Laissez-les bon, temps roulé. He was actually an altar boy, so you talk about Lent and whatnot. Growing up in Mobile, Alabama.
that. And when I first started thinking about, I never asked anybody to put a costume on to go to this show, but they did. And when I saw it, it appealed directly to my sense of Mardi Gras. And so, and it's so funny to me to come full circle to see that happen in Pigalle on that little round island there that they occupy.
It's their island.
That the French who came to the Gulf Coast, 4 centuries ago and brought Mardi Gras, which was created the first time in the New World in Mobile, Alabama, was the first Mardi Gras ever, where I grew up. And then to go back to Paris and take it back there is an interesting full circle. And then along with it, people now within the community are going, you got to go see the Paris show. And what I love, they go so far as to, like, after somebody told me there's a Facebook site, I think, called it's either Parrot Heads in Paris or it's I don't know, you probably know better than that, but it's people communicating on, look, you can go to Paris cheaper than you can get a ticket from a scalper in Chicago. And they've got this whole thing organized to where people now are going, you got to see the Paris show. And I'll keep doing it because I love to go, and it's a very special place, as I think you know. And that's the new Holy Grail, it's to go to Paris. And with Margaritaville TV thrown into the mix, it's an interesting thing that you can extend that to make bigger shows out of smaller shows and do venues like that. And we're looking at that at the future. It's like, because there's so many people that can't get to a show. And that's what I found out through doing the Setlist show here, which was ironic enough that we started this tour April the 1st in Key West. We pretty much ended it last night. We got one more thing to do for a hotel opening, but that's the touring year. I would have never thought it would have begun and ended in Key West. So you never know, and that's the fun thing about it. And then next year's 25 years, which is a pretty amazing thing for the Parrot Head clubs. I mean, those kind of things, it's like we finished the tour, I go to Irvine, and it's like the 33rd year we played there. You go, wow, nobody ever gets to do this. And so just to be able to do it and have people that appreciate you that much as an audience, that seem to be having just as much fun listening as I'm still having playing it. And that, you can't ask for more than that.
You can't. It's
Irvine, which is no longer there. Yeah, he played there. I think it ended up being right about 50 times by the end. Same as Cincinnati, which is wild. Like Cincinnati, Irvine, really? That's Jimmy, man, and God, just the love in his face, man. Supercharged my soul back then, Jimmy, and doing it right now here again.